So much to manage for one man band. It's like I'm doing all this stuff in a limited state of function. But it brings to mind, you know what? We'll touch on that here in a second. Let me know your thoughts on this elevator music. It actually helps calm the nerves, bring in even some humor and lighten the mood here a little bit before we really fire hose and dive into the depths of, can we just for a second be grateful for evil revealing its ugly head? We have so much opportunity, arguably more than ever before, to achieve glory in this life. And that brings to mind, I love you, Dad. He's been saying this a lot lately. So despite my flaws, which I got so many of them, critique me. Let me know, be brutally honest whether you even feel I am cut out for this. Obviously, more of us must challenge ourselves to just rip our muzzles off, not walk in fear, and confront our oppressors that we're dealing with right here, right now in our lives. So my dad often states, as of late, hooray. Every day he wakes up, hooray. Another day, another opportunity to get things right. Doesn't matter how much you got things right or even failed. More often than not, we fail in a lot of our endeavors, if we're being honest with ourselves, but there's so much more growth to be had in our failures versus our successes and achievements. So, hooray, another day to get things right. Therefore, ego out the window. What people think out the window. Let's not walk in that fear. There's only one healthy fear in this existence, and it's seemingly our loving creator. All right, this is not aligning with this music here. So let's just kill that for a second. I mean, think about that. In the Bible itself, there's 365 fear nots. And we want to walk in fear over potentially losing our jobs, an argument at the dinner table among loved ones or family members, ridicule in the public square, wherever we may be, doxing online. We're going to dive, oh my gosh, I don't even have the screen share queued up. Let me go ahead and get that. But before we do, let's officially kick things off. Welcome to a Muzzle Chat. Here we are. You can see, got a lot queued up for today. And we're going to be diving into some of that doxing right out the gate. You know, I kind of skipped over it the other day, and I kind of feel regret. I can't believe I'm about to read. I struggle with reading. I have my whole life. Talk about diving in the depths and so many things. As I'm scrambling, I didn't even verify that the stream is going through seamlessly on Rumble, so just bear with me one quick moment here. Technology, it's only good when it works. And looks like we're good. So instead of just being left alone, let's kick off a tune here. September 16th, The Appointment. I'm going to butcher a lot of these names biblically. we just don't use them in today's society anymore. So it's like, how do you really pronounce it? But I digress. In those days, Hezekiah was sick and near death, and Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, went to him and said, Thus saying the Lord, set your house in order, for ye shall die and not live. That's Isaiah 38:1. And it has a few other references here, so be sure to check them out. Isaiah 38-40. But it touches on death. It reads, Death is like an elephant in the room that is stomping on the whole of humanity. Everybody thinks about it, but few ever talk about it. Yet the world celebrates those who have passed. And that's about the most positive thing humanity can think of when it comes to the appointment we must keep. We're all visitors here. The king weeps like a baby when he's told that he is going to die. Nothing unusual about that. Everyone in his or her right mind should weep at the thought of death. But God was graceful to him an extra 15 years. That's like standing in front of an 18-wheeler that's heading for me, but instead of moving out of the way, I just continuously getting placed further back until the inevitable happens. Do you imagine? The only thing that would deliver... Why am I putting in words? Like I said, this is not my forte. Not much in this life is. I am so defective. But we must not fear to stumble and fall and have humility and laugh at our freaking clumsiness. The only thing that would relieve my fear is the promise of everlasting life. And that's what we have in Jesus Christ. He has abolished death and brought life and immortality to light through the gospel. What hope we have in Jesus. Father, give me an opportunity today to share the good news of the gospel. I want this whole world to hear. It's awesome to unplug from the rat race and tap into more so the reasons why we're here. I don't know. I'm grateful for these lessons. All that being said, let's just go ahead and dive into the content. There's a lot to get through. Nothing as lengthy as the last episode, so I'm going to try my best to articulate through this. Bear with me. Okay, let's ask ourselves for a second. In today's climate, in today's society, what does suppression of speech tell us? Censorship, things even being deemed hateful or misinformation. Frick all those labels. Good people don't rely on that level, those tactics. Full stop. They just don't. And if you're a supposed good person and you're supporting that type of anti-agency, like as my mother says, I often say free agency, but she reminds me it wasn't free. The sacrifice Jesus did for us all, it wasn't free. But I look at our loving Creator. Everything depicted in the Bible is I'm still a baby just continuously trying to figure out. I believe we will be, even at the point you live out to a century in this life. Who are we to take a stance as though we fully know much of anything in this life? It's humility that I believe more so helps us align ourselves on solid principles, everlasting truths. So it's a hollow projection of individuals that in one hand would represent themselves as a good individual, yet take any level of action of suppressing your speech. Your right to question things. And right here we go. Full tyranny exposed. X, what are you doing? Why are you playing God? We are not a free people at all with any level of this type of suppression taking place, full stop. And as you could see, pull these up. Hi, Muzzle Chat. Your post was reported and visibly limited for violating the X rules. As they depict. Once again, there's so many things that came to mind, and I struggle in the moment to really run through them all. Thanks, Lime. Thanks for that additional challenge. I sure hope I can start clearing the haze of my memory bank. It doesn't do you any good to be well researched in anything when you really you're not able to really access that information when it's needed most. But one situation that comes to mind, there was a transitioner at a young age that fell for this evil narrative as though that was going to help the individual feel comfortable in this existence, and mutilated their body. And I remember it being such a powerful interview of this individual years later stating, I believe it was a woman that transitioned into this fiction of becoming a man, and you can't change that. It's kind of just, once again, like putting stripes on a cow doesn't make it a zebra. There's nothing you could do. It's make believe. It's literally playing pretend. And the devastation it caused to this individual years later is like, we can't even fathom. She expressed all the heartache to all the damage caused to her body, and that she could no longer even bear children. One of the greatest gifts, miracles in this existence, especially for women. And just me reposting that got taken down as hate speech. I mean, when you really unpack that situation, so they only care for the individuals as they're falling for their propagandist narrative of destruction. Soon as that person, like, well, it did mess up my whole abilities. Nope, you're no longer with us. We got to see past these labels. And it is sickening to me to see the sheer level of hypocrisy now. Let's play the game of right versus left for a second. And it's a game. It's a construct. And it is intentionally designed to divide us in this climate now. But, just even doing that, put me on full screen, ramps up the pressure to where I lose my train of thought. Bear with me. We must challenge ourselves in situations like this. And it's not just through casting, it's in person. But, golly, where was I? You know what? It's right there. I wanted to drive some of the points home, but I hope you followed enough. I think more important than the words I could even conjure up, that we take it further. I was going to play the game left versus right. But we ponder these things ourselves. We use our critical thinking skills to fully understand the divisive deception evil is utilizing to our detriment regarding all these situations. But I essentially was going to get into a lot of this construct of left versus right. A lot of the people on the right have experienced a lot of this censorship, a lot of hateful things, especially under the last administration, things of that nature. So they're so quick, in lieu of Charlie's death, to jump on and live out full hypocrisy is to celebrating seeing others being doxxed, being fired, being suppressed as they were, emboldening a infrastructure that, sure, it may seem as though their side, and that's the folly of the construct, is gaining momentum to an extent. It's hard for us not to celebrate at other people's demise that caused us pain. That is one of the defects of being human. We're no longer seeing other individuals through the humanity lens, through God's eyes, is all of us being his children. So we'll dive into the information and what's taking place. As everything else is being going viral and we're being distracted, the actual momentum being gained, sure, in that construct kind of view, oh, we're gaining momentum, but you're building out an infrastructure that I guarantee tomorrow will be used against you to suppress you, silence you, further this evil in this life. Anyway, let's continue. I want to dive into my gosh, let's understand the character of Charlie Kirk. Above all, we don't have to agree with everyone, and that is capturing his character in a sense, is that he wanted to create the atmosphere that you could have respectful dialogues, and that's okay. We can have our disagreements. We must be able to air them in respectful, humane ways so it doesn't result to violence. And it's interesting, in lieu of his death, how many are spitting on that man's grave, his legacy. It's completely countering his in my eyes, his whole purpose, the whole path he was on.
Nice to meet you. Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. First of all, that question should not even have to be asked, but when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. What we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option.
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Okay, I'm...
Very well said. There's more that captures this situation right here between a father and son. Check this out.
Father with me. He's a very liberal father.
Our family's divided. We're divided the same way the nation is divided.
I'm conservative, by the way.
We fuss and we fight about this all the time. Will anything ever be remedied? A nation divided against itself will not stand, neither will a family divided against itself.
Why do you think
Correct.
your son is conservative?
I have no clue. I'll let him answer.
That's a bad answer. Hold on a second. You as a father should listen to your son. You shouldn't say, hold on a second.
I'll listen to him all the time.
But hold on, but then you just said you don't know.
I don't know where he went so bad. I mean, come on. It's like, oh, I don't know where he went wrong. I don't know how he went off the rails.
Would the smarter of the two like to chime in here?
I used to be, at one point, on my father's side. Upon doing my own research and seeing things firsthand, I've switched sides. We talk every day about politics to the point where it's divided us. And so for him to say that he does not know where I stand is...
So let me ask you, do you think that maybe he wants to believe government will do good? Maybe that's...
Of course, yes.
Now, maybe your son is going more conservative because he thinks government hasn't done a lot of good. Is that maybe a fair, charitable interpretation?
That makes relative sense.
Okay, so now we're getting somewhere. So here's what I'll just say in closing, guys, is that never let politics get in the way of beautiful relationship between father and son. My advice first is for the son to the father, understand he comes from a different generational perspective. He thinks government is probably a good force and, that we shouldn't question our institutions. Now, your son, understandably, is seeing it harder than ever to own a home. He's seen a border wide open. He's seen lies from politicians. He's seen the enrichment of the ruling class. And instead of interrupting and want to get in an edge smartly, be like, maybe my son is processing a way that I might not agree with, but he's growing up in a different circumstance than I ever would.
This liberal dad and this...
Wow. Well done, Charlie. I mean, you even get the visual cues is to bring in a father and son together. Just finding that commonality, speaking reasonably about two different eras. That type of dialogue is what's crucial. And I'm seeing so much of this foundation Charlie built just being utterly destroyed by some of the ones that have followed him most religiously. And I'm left scratching my head, and that's just kind of highlighting yet again as to how effective evil has built out the propagandist constructs of all this. We must disassemble this theology, this type of think, to even have a chance. Because just like that last episode I stumbled through, that gentleman, my gosh, here he is right here, and we'll come back. But this gentleman right here, and I don't have the screen up, so let's do that, does the best job I've seen yet. It's a bit lengthy, a little over 20 minutes. We played it on that last episode. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out. And the links are available, so you could do it without my commentary as well. You find that level of importance in you, then just share that along. We got to get this out there. But in Charlie Kirk's demise or death, exposed the biggest scam in history. And it's the very labels. It's this constructed ideology, because he really touches on a point where we have more in common with those who voted differently than we do, the powerful, the ones clearly benefiting and manipulating us into ramping up that hateful think towards one another. Because I'm so disappointed with the presidential seats, administrations, things to that nature, because it's just clear to me in this moment that there's only one solution, and it's not through that seat. It's through collectively as a people. And it may be the only, if they don't listen to us and we ramp up the pressures. I mean, this is a simple mathematical equation when you think about it. And believe you me, I voted for Trump all 3 times. I was putting more hope, faith, and rolling the dice with them than I'd like to admit, seeing how I see it now. But it's a very simple equation. Any presidential figure or administration or country for that matter, with the level, and there's nothing conspiratorial about the level of depths evil has gained, like the momentum, how vast the synagogue of Satan and his minions are in this world today. So with the existence of that evil here, it's simple. Any country, presidential government, if you will, if it receives more pressure from that ruling class than the people it's supposedly supposed to be serving, who are they going to listen to? What are they going to act out? And act out on behalf of. And it's clear, if we're being honest with ourselves, this current administration is doing the very bare minimum to keep us from achieving that only solution and ramping up the pressures and giving them that opportunity of even balancing out the pressures equally here and here and giving them the opportunity to answer to us. They heard it with a lot of the LGB. This administration heard with a lot of the wokeness. So they were moving the needle on in a bare minimum to kind of appease and get us to simmer back. But they're fully controlled. I am convicted in that, and we'll continue to dive through some of this information that in fact will 100% expose just that. Oh boy. Was this the one? What just happened? This is not the one. Why did it just glitch out? No. I don't know if I'll find that. Oh, here it is. Let's go ahead and play this interaction Charlie had here. It's awesome.
carrying out her 2.5-year sentence for
No,
a
it's
solitary tweet,
so
which she
outrageous.
deleted 4 hours later. What's your take on the whole situation?
Well, I'm going to try to get the U.S. State Department involved. I don't know if you know what their bandwidth is here, but I'm sorry. Like again, I'm speaking as a citizen, not as a U.S. government. I just want to be very clear. Like, is this a way that a liberal democracy and an ally of the United States acts? Just to be clear, what she said would not be any prison time in America. I don't like what she said, but she showed contrition. Well, there's two parts. The first part where she said, like, I don't want immigrants in my country. Perfectly acceptable. That's fine. Like, you can say that. You're allowed to have that. I think there was one part about, like, potentially, like, violent whatever.
Well, she said, let me clarify what she said.
Yeah, I want to be clear.
So I think by the time she sent the tweets, some asylum hotels were in the midst of being burnt down or their Molotovs thrown through a window. She tweeted, burn them down for all I care.
You're allowed to say that in America.
So the argument is, was she inciting violence
Yes.
there? Or was she reacting to the images she was
You
seeing?
could,
on the screen?
and by the way, just to be clear, you guys have the wrong incitement threshold. In America, you need to have specific time and specific place in order to reach the incitement threshold. Every day people say, you know, well, someone should go kill Charlie Kirk. I don't like it, but that's protected speech. In America, we care about what you do, not about what you say. And then she showed contrition and she apologized. And from my understanding, when the police force showed up to her door, they asked her questions being like, you know, do you hate immigrants? No. She gave like very satisfactory answers and they still arrested her. And I just find it so outrageous that she's going to now jail for 2.5 years for a deleted social media post that she apologized for. As you guys have birthed free speech to the world, you now guys are becoming a totalitarian country.
Wow. Look at him advocate on behalf of freedom of speech. Unbelievable. Even to the degree of individuals threatening his life. Stating, well, they have the right to speak. So we even have minor things like these very posts that are just pointing out the level of infiltration of this country in not a hateful way, but it's being taken down as hateful content. That is how you suppress a people tyrannically to control them. 110%. Throughout history, it's only been the oppressors that have gone to these lengths. Once again, Charlie was willing to die on that hill and expose that threat. Well, the health ranger, Mike Adams, does an amazing job, and I got quite a few of his content in here, but Charlie Kirk exposed hate speech laws. But now the Trump administration bowing down to you-know-who wants to make hate speech a crime. Unbelievable. Here's one of Charlie Kirk's posts. Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech, and all of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free. See, this is what it is. That construct and right now feeding the engine that the left was just, we got to see past that, because now to our own demise. Once again, we're building out that institution that, okay, seemingly we're gaining momentum today, but undoubtedly, 100%, every time, guarantee it will be used against us tomorrow. So if you were truly a free speech advocate, as gross, as vile, as evil as Charlie's touching on here, as it may be, that those that want to just laugh, mock Charlie in his demise, damn it, they have the right to do so. And if we truly understood our freedoms and freedom of speech, and it all crumbles without the freedom of speech, that's the beginning of all freedoms lost. All agency is designed by God. Anyone behind this type of stuff, it exposes their slave masters, their integrity, their character, what side they're really on, whether they're caving to the pressures of this world or financials, or all that could be argued. But the simple fact that the root of it is pure evil. And this administration, in lieu of Charlie Kirk, is running rampant, activating the military, so many things, anti-free speech. We should be willing, when you fully grasp how important freedom of speech is, we should be willing to die on behalf of those that want to even mock Charlie's death. We should be willing to die for their right of expression. Is vile, I get it, as gross as it is, but if you're not willing to go to that level on their behalf now, you don't understand freedom. Full stop. I never fully did, and I've gotten it wrong so many times, and I'm sure I will in the future. I will emotionally outburst in some of these moments, 110% guilty. We all are, and we forever will be in this fallen world. Are you kidding me? So mic drop, do you acknowledge this is a threat? A post by Thomas Massey. Hate speech is a term used by those in power to describe thoughts they do not want spoken. It's I don't know why I'm even struggling with that word. Antithetical to the First Amendment. It opposes and utterly deteriorates our First Amendment 100%. Hitting the nail on the head. Another one from Mike Adams, a health ranger. I'm still shocked to see how many people in alternative media are right now 100% buying the FBI narrative over Charlie Kirk's shooting. The most unreliable source of all is the FBI. And you cannot see how they're busy fabricating false evidence by the hour. You're not much of an independent thinker if you accept everything the FBI is claiming as automatically true. Love it. Another great question posed by Mike Adams. Why did they dismantle the crime scene so quickly and effectively, tampering with evidence in regards to the aftermath of Charlie's death? You could even see in the still pictures here a gentleman taking down a camera. You watch this here. We'll just kind of skim through it. But you can see him here. Where are the police? Where's the tape? What are they doing? But that's a camera right above the booth. You know what? Let's take a second on a side note. Look at the very awning Charlie was sitting under when he was assassinated. Prove me wrong, prove me wrong, prove me wrong. Goes around the whole awning. Is it possible that the delusion of left versus right, that type of think, got someone so much in a tizzy as to the momentum Charlie was gaining and sought out to murder him? Yes. Yes, it's possible. Do I find that more likely than bigger, more powerful entities at play? No, I don't believe it's rogue individuals. It's the momentum Charlie was having through his businesses and organizations such as TPUSA, and the impact and the questions he was posing in these young people's minds. I mean, even right here on the top, America, so it's like America, but it's a play on America. American come back. And it's all about prove me wrong. It's open dialogue. So Charlie's vision of America coming back is more of this. So how is it now in his death, we're actually actively cheering? Not this, but a suppression of speech, of a doxing, infringement on none other than all our God-given rights. This post is really good. This gentleman hits it out of the park. I believe we got a couple queued up from him, and it's the first time I've really dived into some of his content. Ryan Matta, yeah, I don't believe that's him, but that's, yeah, I'm going to have to plug this young man in the near future. But just food for thought regarding, just in addition, on my side of things, like I trust my gut more than the FBI, etc., government, any three-letter agency. I trust the information that makes most sense. I trust all the fingerprints that are easily seen when you take the time to use your critical thinking and digest all the information we have at our fingertips. I mean, once again, look no further than the suppression of speech. That more so is showing us, I mean, it's just the tyranny we experienced during COVID really taught us so clearly. When they're going to those lengths, you are touching on more than likely truths they simply do not want exposed. And then it provides a more powerful realization that, my goodness, there are more powerful entities, controllers, literally doing just that, controlling these narratives. I trust observing who benefits. That question, I love seeing that posed in this time. Who benefits really leads us more so on that path, more effectively uncovering truth. I trust that those who actively take action against what Charlie stood for regarding our freedom of speech are not his friend, nor our own. Okay, let's listen to this fella.
Kirk was offered an infusion of $150 million by Israel. Okay? That would double Israel's budget, or excuse me, Turning Point USA's budget. Turning Point USA has an annual budget of $140 million. Netanyahu offered Turning Point $150 million.
Wow.
For one purpose and one purpose only, to shill for Israel harder. Turning Point USA is already pro-Israel. They're not anti-Israel.
Right.
They've never been anti-Israel. Charlie Kirk has, in the past, criticized Bibi Netanyahu. He has criticized secular left-wing Jewry in America. He has criticized a war with Iran, the famine in Gaza. He has never opposed Israel in itself. He has never explicitly opposed Israel. Israel offered him $150 million to be more pro-Israel than they already were, to be harder in their support for Israel, and in particular, to support regime change in Iran and to support their ethnic cleansing and genocide in Gaza. And Charlie Kirk refused the money. And I have independently confirmed that, by the way. I've heard that from 4 people. 4 people that I trust that are in the know. So this is coming from Candace Owens, a friend of Charlie Kirk. This is coming from Max Blumenthal, who purports to have a source. And I have heard from a handful of people independently of those sources that this offer was real and that Kirk turned down the money. After Charlie Kirk turned down the money, Netanyahu asked if he would come visit Jerusalem and give him the re-education tour. The Holocaust Museum, the burned babies, the beheaded babies, the one that Elon Musk took, the one that our Speaker of the House took. Anyone that's ever criticized Israel has been subjected to. He refused that as well. They offered to bribe him. They tried to re-educate him. He refused both offers. That's 1. 2, they say Bill Ackman, the Jewish pro-Israel billionaire, hosted this event at his house in the Hamptons where they staged an intervention. And he, along with other pro-Israel mouthpieces, pro-Israel traitors and shills, berated and screamed at him for not supporting Israel enough. And whatever they say about it, whatever other people say about it, Charlie Kirk's friends intimate that he felt scared. He felt as though he was being intimidated and blackmailed.
Which, by the way, personally, that's the only level of censorship regarding the specific topic so far I've experienced that wraps around Charlie's death right now, is the direct suppression of sharing those concerns of people seemingly closest to him, and Charlie's expression of fear of this. We can't talk about entity because it all falls under the anti-Semitic label, which this administration has pushed multiple executive orders. A lot of people are unaware that in 38 states right now, there are active laws that could put you behind bars under that label. Once again, that's not a tactic any good in this world would truly result to. So I want to pose a question. We all should pose a question to Elon Musk. Whose side are you on? Now, when I say sides, I don't mean the constructed left versus right and things of that nature. After all, that's tapping into the circus of this existence. When I say whose side are you on is biblical. It's the reason why we're here, to experience the pain, the beauty, the heartache. Whose father do you choose in this existence? And do you fall for the deception and choose the deceiver as your father? Basically swearing loyalty to him or our loving creator. It's a spiritual war after all. So Elon, whose team are you on? The deceiver or our loving creator? Because the level of oppression I've experienced, not just on this topic, but when it came down to it and people's lives were on the line, my loved ones, and through the sheer influence of social media platforms and the way they censored life-saving care during the planned scamdemic and withheld that information and touted all the propaganda, there wasn't a bigger singular topic of suppression that I have experienced today other than pushing life-saving care. Do you see things clearly? There's nothing to gain in this life. And if we're to truly follow in Charlie's footsteps and meet the same end, which eerily, very similarly, follows in all the apostles' examples, so be it. That's the only glory truly to have in this existence. I venture to say a life fulfilled, worth living. You could look up all the scripture of Jesus himself and so many others throughout the many books of the Bible that talk about what it means to follow our loving creator, what it means to follow in the footsteps of his only son, Jesus Christ, that he sent here to pave a way for us when there wasn't any, or resorted to sacrifice all these other things. I'm so grateful for the new covenants. So, whose side are you on? Are you going to knock this stuff off? Are the threats so great? Do the Epstein style of blackmail, I mean, what do they have on you? What is it? None of that is worth continuing oppressing the people and deteriorating the only solution there is, uniting God's children. So you got to stand somewhere and following in kind to all these other platforms. There seems to be a level of liberation when you transition into X, but it's still at an unacceptable level. So you're either, you can't ride the fence. Anyone that's riding the fence, biblically is talked about, and you're not gonna magically fall off and be on like our loving creator side. There's no fence riding. So I hope you help give us a chance.
Potentially.
We need it more than ever.
Well, he's dead now, so he can't tell us what really went down. All we know is what the people who berated him allegedly felt about it, but we don't know his perspective.
Wow. Well said, young man. Guys, I love Frankie Stocks from the Stu Peter Networks. If you haven't seen this or the multiple visits and clips he's done addressing our own Senate members, congressmen, supposedly people we elected, this is shocking to the core. This actually really helps us see the depths, though, the depth of corruption in our country. Check this out. And I agree with Stu here. Time for extreme accountability. Even bigger than accountability, we must hold people accountable. And if they're not fulfilling, then okay, great. Step aside, get people in that will listen to we the people. But yeah, how is this not treasonous? Check this out.
Congressman, my name's Frankie Stocks. I'm a reporter with the Stu Peters Network. I would just love to ask you a quick question. I'm trying to ask every representative I can.
Go for it, Frankie.
That is, do you care more about the American people or Israel as a member of Congress?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive, Frankie.
Can you elaborate?
What? They're our best ally.
Are they? Who do you care about more, the United States or Israel?
Oh my gosh.
United States or Israel, sir? No answer? Should we put you down for Israel?
You gotta finish this, folks. But let me just interject something. This is such a simple question. The only answer there is, what a dumb question, Frankie, to ask. Duh, the American people. That's the only answer there is. American people. As a representative of the American people in these positions of power to protect the American people, they can't even answer this most simple of questions. Tells you everything you need to know. But also, in addition, they're showing the money, the lobbying, the just blood money circling around, and how much they're all taking really says it all. When he tours the halls of the congressmen and sees all the Israeli flags in some situations without even an American flag or above an American flag, says it all. But when you look into the actual dual citizenship of a lot of these characters, they hold dual citizenship. How are we allowing anyone to gain a position of power? Because who are they going to serve? They can't defend it at the point they even serve for any other country, any other army. Like, in my eyes, you can't gain a position of power in this country. I'm sorry. Like, why are we allowing this? But just the representation, even in and of itself. But let's continue.
Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? It's an easy one. American people or Israel? You don't got to fake a phone call. American people or Israel?
Right.
Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? The American people or Israel, sir?
Wow.
Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? No answer?
I think that Israel is one of our strongest allies
Wow.
in a part of the world where people are trying to harm us, and I think they need our support.
So should the U.S. continue funding Israel? Despite their links to 9/11 or their
Wow.
attack on the USS Liberty?
He's cheap.
Who do you care about more, the United States or Israel? That's kind of an odd question to ask. Well, it's a question the American people have been asking a lot because they're starting to wake up to how much AIPAC money's flowing into the coffers of Congress.
Well, if you watch what I've done over the years since I've been here, the question about do we have some strong support for Israel, I think it would be hard to find somebody who's more positive about it than I have. So I'm amazed sometimes at where the American people are, how they think. It's like, this is so against everything I've heard. The people who raised me are accepted. So. Well,
we have American citizens who are about to freeze to death in Western North Carolina, and we're sending millions to Israel.
They can't get out of there fast enough.
Well, it is a comparison because the money's going out. It's all coming from the same people. It's coming from the taxpayers, sir. Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir?
They're disgusted over the question.
Sir, they're equal.
Why?
Are you serving Israel or are you serving America?
I stand with Israel.
Okay, so can you answer the original question? Who do you care about more, U.S. or Israel?
There's no variance. It's like you're asking, do you love your wife more than your daughter?
Well,
and you said it's a simple question.
It is.
Do you love your wife more than your daughter?
I love the
That's
United
not a
States
simple
more than I
question
love
at
Israel.
all.
It's a very simple question.
Great love, and you as a human being, you express that love, and you have core principles that drive you to your love for your wife and your love for your daughter. It's two different loves, but neither of them is greater than the other. You understand?
Who's the priority when you're casting a vote in Congress, America or Israel? Well, it's a very simple question. You're not answering it, Representative. Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel?
Oh my gosh, Ron.
No answer? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel?
Jeez.
No answer? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? Well, who do you care about more? American people or Israel, sir? Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel? American people or Israel, sir? Is it so hard to say you care about the American people who you're here to serve? The American people believe that Israel holds disproportionate influence over our own government thanks to organizations like AIPAC who are pumping millions of dollars into American politics promoting Israel First policy. So,
if you want to share this information, you're doing a great job.
It's not misinformation. We have the campaign finance report, sir.
Yeah.
It's not misinformation.
Wow.
Do you care more about the American people or about Israel?
Where are you from?
The Stu Peters Network. The Stu Peters Show just released a film called Occupied on this very subject, which I highly recommend
Great film.
to look up. But can you answer the question, sir? Do you care more about the American people or about Israel?
I'm an American. I care more about the American.
You care more about the American people? Right, but should Americans take priority over Israel? We know AIPAC's pumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into congressional candidates. They're obviously getting some sway there. Should AIPAC register as a foreign agent?
Good question. Don't they already?
No.
No. Wow.
Yes, sir.
Are you one of those Are you recording?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Stu Peters Network, Frankie Stocks. We're asking the questions that the American people want answered by their representatives.
I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Make it a appointment. Thank you.
Jeez.
Congressman, quick second. I'm Frankie Stocks with the Stu Peters Network. I'm trying to ask all members I can this question. Very simple. Who do you care about more, the American people or Israel?
American people.
You are the first to have given me that answer, sir. Thank you. Yep.
American people. Number one, man.
Very well done. It's interesting to see folks simply run, even in this podcast, from absorbing this information. I don't know. It's as though this false teachings of it's It's like triggering to say Jew or Israel or any of these labels is going against a, whether fictional or true, people need to seek that out for themselves, but it's become such a convicted core belief for an individual. There's a level, I don't know how to say it, like idolatry to this type of ideology and these labels that we can't even ask the genuine questions. And I'll continue to repeat the words of Jesus to the day I die. He warned us of our oppressors in Revelation chapter 2, verse 9, and repeats it in 3, verse 9. I know of your oppressors. They say they are Jews, but they are not. They are of the synagogue of Satan. So who's the biggest victim in essentially what Jesus is even exposing in that very clear statement? It's more so the individuals running under that Jewish label. And there's a lot of amazing, beautiful rabbis and Jewish individuals that are bearing great fruits in this world, exposing the Zionists and the controllers that are running under that label so they can be untouchable because the anti-Semitism blanket and shield that is clearly there. It exists, and that's a shield so many can hide behind. I mean, this now can be entirely disrupted. I'd venture to say this very conversation with the TPUSA behind it, I wouldn't be here. But as a collective, they can't come after us all. This synagogue of Satan. So I don't know. I genuinely feel the sooner we can actually walk away from these labels that are polarizing, that deception's running under, the better off we're going to be. I even have a problem. Like, I would challenge those running under that flag and Jewish narrative to consider, why use these labels? I know there's historical importance in things to us, but even for a moment to really step away, because, for example, for me as a believer in Christ, I'm now having a harder and harder time using the label of Christian, because there's a lot of individuals using that label that are hollow projections of Jesus, that even go as far as to support this genocide that's taking place and the false teachings of Israel, these current lines on a map, as though that's the biblical Israel of old, is depicted in the Bible. As far as I could tell, that's God's kingdom, more than any lines I can draw on the freaking dirt. So many of these labels, why wouldn't evil utilize these to pit us against each other, to where we don't see humanity, all we see is evil? Of course, kind of the image of this episode, not falling for those, those 3 Ds? Deception. Okay, let's continue. Here's this young man again. He does an amazing job yet again. This should help more understand the true depth of the corruption 100%. Let's check it out.
If the entire world is against Israel.
Oh, this is good.
And it is. If the entire world is against Israel's war, and it is. Almost every country in the General Assembly voted against Israel's war. And now even countries like France and the United Kingdom are calling for the war to end. They're going so far as to recognize Palestine. If in America the majority of the people are against the war, then that means the world's population, the billion Muslims, the people in the Middle East, the people in China and in Russia, the people in Europe and the United States, if the whole world is against Israel and the whole world is against the war, and they vote against it in the UN, and they do an arms embargo, and they revise their trade relations, and their leaders speak out, but the war keeps going, what does that tell you about the world? What does that tell you about the world and who runs it? We are holding back every Middle Eastern country from interfering. We are holding back Russia and China from maybe negotiating a solution. We are using our influence to stop Europe from criticizing the war. Israel runs America. America runs the world. It's as simple as that.
Well said.
I have enough of a moral compass to say I'm against genocide. I'm against children starving, whether they're white or brown, whether they're Christian or Muslim. I hate seeing children starve to death on purpose. I hate seeing families shot in the back of the head trying to get food.
Families, children.
And I think so does the entire world. I think we're all sick and tired of seeing that. That's not right.
Agreed.
If
100% agreed. If you haven't seen the atrocities, then and you've just, and I get it, it's a really hardcore belief to question and bring back up and understand there's all these crazy fractures to it. It's hard for one to admit. I have been deceived by the devil's tactics in this life. I'd venture to say any one of us shy of Jesus Christ are going to fall prey to one degree or another. Some more than others. Some more than others in a particular chapter in their life. But if, once again, if we understand what Charlie stood for, we keep open the dialogue, we're able to hold respectful, civil conversation, then I believe we're more quickly going to reel people out of that falling off the path and falling for the evil one's lies and deceit. Yeah. It's kind of what we used for some of the description of this episode. Stu Peters has no fear. You don't have to agree with a lot or even his demeanor with a lot of things, but I have the utmost respect for this man and his courage to share the things he has been sharing. He doesn't really add the disclaimer anymore, posing the opportunities for certain individuals running under these labels. I understand because he's so well researched on the topic that it becomes hard. How wouldn't you renounce that label at this point with how subverted, how misused and evil has been just abusing that label? We can't really force people's hands in that regard. And there are exceptions. There are, once again, in my view, there's not a greater victim than the ones running under those labels that are pure. But even then, if they don't believe in Christ, if they don't believe he was the Son of God and he, like the new covenant that comes through him, then even if they're bearing good fruit, are they truly saved? It's a tough journey, this life, but let's hear from Stu.
Every day, how do you do it? How do you go on the air knowing that you're going to be relentlessly attacked by an unrelenting enemy that's going to use the tools of Satan to come at you with slanderous and defamatory hit pieces, to make up lies about you, to cancel you, to defund you? Do you think that this is new for me? Do you think that this just started with J-Proof? Since the minute that they learned my name, since the enemy knew of my existence, we have faced the same exact attacks. Watch the Water, Occupied, It's Really Fun to Be White, my appearance in Norfolk, Virginia. I can't have a billboard in this country with a website on it because they don't want people learning of my name and our movement and our mission and our weapons. Because it's a legitimate threat. It has been from day one. Success in business is the same as success on the battlefield. It doesn't come by working harder. It comes with working smarter and in alignment with God. These people don't have God. These people openly deny God. They don't believe in God. They openly tell you that they hate God. We work in alignment with God. We use the tools of God. We use the truth. They use the tools of the enemy that we expose on this platform every single day. They hate you. By extension, they hate me. They hate this platform. By extension, they hate our mission. They fear our movement. They fear God. And for that reason, we can never lose. We will never be defeated.
Wow. So it's no secret in the end, I really haven't voiced it too much on here due to the health challenges I myself have experienced. And that's why I'm always going to continuously sound the alarm on the two main things here, that we maintain a level of health that we're even able to utilize our First Amendment to our benefit. We are the only ones as a collective that could secure our future together. But if we lose our health, and you could just see so much of even this administration is running under the guise as though they care about your health. But when you look at their actual actions, the initial individuals to this day, once they gain these positions, who they've had in, it's the mRNA tech, it's big tech, which they formally said that they were going to dismantle. It's monitoring devices. It's all these other things. It's actually the anti-vaxxer, RFK, going into the position. Those were the labels he had. Won over our hearts on so many things he said. Became, as soon as he gained that position, the actual vaccine salesman, pushing the MMR due to supposed measles outbreaks. Knowing the manipulated data behind all of that and the direct correlations to autism and all this SIDS, just sheer suffering and death connected. And everything that we're exposing here, boom, he gets buddied up with none other than Rabbi Shmuley, which has one of the biggest porn sex companies in the States that promotes these toys and such with none other than his own daughter. It is sick and demonic. And he gets wrapped up with him to have to do this embarrassing ritual. It's deep. It's hard to see all this. And it's a real hard pill to swallow, is to just how influential and how powerful. Because once again, I can only speak outwardly in regards to what I can see. I'm not walking in these men's footsteps. I'm not in their shoes. But I'm not going to lie to myself that they're doing some 5D QAnon space chess bullshiz on our behalf when they're continually allowing the rollouts of more bioweaponist shots, more poison in our skies, fluoride and poisons in our water, everything happening with our food, sitting down with Bill Gates himself on multiple occasions now since gaining this new seat yet again. It's just, why are they surrounding? Because it's not this deceitful. Once again, we got to clear the slate on so much. And I digress. I'm getting ahead of myself on a lot of it. But enough is enough. And we keep falling prey in mortal men as though, and giving our own agency and power away into those individuals. I get the hope. I get, we're seeking. Here I am, just tripping over my words. Let's just keep going through, because this will expose more. Golly, just remember, if you haven't checked this man out and how he exposes the biggest scam that ensued after Charlie's death, this whole construct of left versus right, once again, how we have more in common with one another than the rulers at beast, than this billionaire class. Well, look at this billionaire. President Trump, dead wrong again. I'm so grateful for so many that are actually waking up to these constructs, left versus right ideology in itself being the very problem. Keep playing the tactical psychological warfare game so blatantly, so boldly, that it's in fact helping more wake up faster than ever before. Listen to this. With that new lens, absorb it. He's playing the game to our demise. He's not unifying this country. He wants us divided.
Well, the problem is on the left. If you look at the problem is on the left. It's not on the right, like some people like to say on the right. The problem we have is on the left. And when you look at the agitators, you look at the scum that speaks so badly of our country, the American flag burnings all over the place, that's the left. That's not the right. Well, the problem is on the left.
Just feeding into that propagandist. Yeah, that psychological warfare. That as though we have a choice. As though he isn't serving the very same slave masters as those of prior administrations before him, dating way back, arguably to JFK or even further, 1913. All the links to this very episode are in the description below. Let's do our best to blast them to kingdom come. Folks, I got to admit, I don't know, A, how well I'm cut out for this, B, if I financially could even continue, but I can't imagine plugging into the rat race. It's as though I'm living in the Matrix in a sense, and I've taken that red pill. You can't just go back into the blue pill. There's a bigger purpose for us here that not enough of us are really engaged in. I know a lot of us are engaged in really wholesome things, families, children, like church, education, a lot of what we do in the workplace. But humor me for a second in this thought that if we truly all got entirely wrapped up in those things and not the freedom, the agency aspects, really securing our future in a parental situation, for an example, how are we really providing for them? Or isn't that more so a projection that we're caring for a child? What does it matter if you're giving them everything they need to survive and securing their future in a sense when it's a future that is leading to more slavery, more suppression? I don't even know of a historical example, by the way, of a more oppressed people than we are now. Just income tax alone, 40, 50+% for a lot of us. Add up all the other taxes, it's 60, 70%. All the infringements, everything that's happening. I think we're under the illusion. Now, don't get me wrong. We got blessings. We got some freedoms. But too many of them being infringed upon, and we're really reaching the precipice here. Here's more exposure to, in my eyes, it's directly exposing the synagogue of Satan, but it goes beyond the label. It goes beyond these arbitrary lines drawn on a map in 1948, known as this new state of Israel. It goes beyond that. That could disappear tomorrow, and it's really not impacting the synagogue of Satan all too much at all. Now, I believe it has evil plans there, and sacrificing red heifers and ushering in the Antichrist, and even getting a lot of Christian believers as though they're ushering in Jesus Christ. Like the deceivers got people. I mean, that's totally negating the new covenant that Jesus actually fulfilled. And people aren't even really connecting the dots as to how satanic that is.
Just stick to my own political lifespan. You, Israel, have been assassinating people all over the world, in Europe, in the Middle East, and further afield, all of my political lifetime. You assassinated almost half of the government of Yemen just 10 days ago. You don't get to say that it's anti-Semitic to suspect you might have had a hand in assassinating Charlie Kirk, when you told us to marvel at your percipience and at your ingenuity, your engineering skills, and your patience when you waited years to explode every pager in Lebanon, man, woman, and child notwithstanding. You don't get to say how good you are at killing, but call it anti-Semitic if somebody suspects that you may have killed Charlie Kirk, especially when there are sundry reasons to suspect that you might. And they're multiplying by the hour. When you scrubbed or caused to be scrubbed from YouTube the entirety of the episode of Charlie Kirk, when he openly states that you stood down on October the 7th, that it was an inside job.
Yeah, that censorship
you
tells us what?
were responsible for the events on October 7th. Where is it? Where is it, Mr. YouTube?
Right.
Who told you to
Mr.
scrub
YouTube.
that edition?
Great questions. Absolutely. Did a great job. This gentleman. Can anyone prove this man wrong? If you can, email muzzlechat@gmail.com. I will openly, whether I'm up in the wilderness, but we can remotely connect, guest you on, prove this man wrong.
Israel controls us. They control the Congress. They control the Senate. They control our money. We don't control our country. The Zionist state does. We've ceded our power to a foreign country. We don't need presidents to send our young men and women into war, all for the sake of the Zionist state. I'm tired of it. This whole country should be tired of it. Our passionate attachment to the Zionist state has got to stop.
100% agreed. 100%. It goes so much bigger than the stinking label of Israel and the Jew. Way bigger. It's the banking cabal. It's the business, the private entity, selective families that worship Satan, by the way, and the symbolism is Janet from the fall, the cabal that they murdered, exposed it all. Why the world is the way it is. Tied in their perversions, the symbolism, their manifestos. But this private business is enslaving and indebting nations across the world. There's only a couple, maybe a few select that haven't entirely caved to this fake currency, fiat currency. Unbelievable. This young man does an amazing job as well. Let's go. What is this? It is creepy. His face.
50 states, one Israel. What is that? Well, the
Great
state
question.
of Israel just posted this on their Instagram a few hours ago. Quote, the 50 states, one Israel delegation has landed in Israel. 250 American legislators will spend the coming week in Israel and experience it as it truly is by doing this kind of thing, which I guess is required for all U.S. government officials. Okay, I just want to point out to everybody that since Charlie Kirk was assassinated on September 10th,
this is huge.
The U.S. government has blocked the Epstein files release, passed an amendment that bans the Pentagon from boycotting Israel.
That's huge.
Proposed a bill from Marco Rubio to revoke passports for critics of Israel.
What? Come on, folks. This is our freedoms going out the window.
The House also approved $650 million for Israel's missile defense. And as you just saw there, Marco Rubio visited Israel. And now, once again, there are 250 legislators in Israel at the 50 states, one Israel delegation being serenaded with Somewhere Over the Rainbow, a song known as a Project Monarch trigger for mind control MK Ultra slaves to activate them to do bidding against their will. And this is all totally normal, right?
Very well said. I believe those MK Ultra tactics, I mean, it's no secret. They released so much, but they lied to us and said it was all stopped. It was ended. No, they've ramped it up on all of us. How else do they effectively shut down the globe, have everyone wear multiple face diapers at a time, tell you distancing, didn't talk on anything about nutrition, sunlight, social interaction, anything that we know is good for us, being good for us. No, it was just everything, isolation, detrimental, depression, that a bioweaponist shot is safe and effective and good for us when it just led to the murder and slaughter and genocide of millions. And a number we're not even connecting the dots on any of it. The simple fact that Bill Gates' 2007 TED Talk talked about the problem of world population. He specifically said if we do, quote, a good job through health services and vaccinations, we could lower the world population by 10 or 15%. And who gets pedestaled is this vaccine guru, this health guru, none other than Bill Gates. Buys up so much of the farmland, so many of the PCR testing, vaccine production. We're not connecting the dots. So how could we say this MK Ultra tactic isn't, and we're just accepting the unacceptable time and time and time again. It's why I'm fighting tooth and nail that we don't fall prey to the deceitful. And once again, do not take my word for it. Evil wouldn't tell you this, by the way. Do not take my word for it. Don't just base your opinions and thoughts on what you hear on a muzzled chat, or it's important you do your own research. Question these things, even to me, to everyone around you. That is crucial. That's what Charlie stood on. Ian Carroll, amazing man, does a really fantastic job exposing so much in a very beautiful way. But this is why they voted against the release of the Epstein files. We all know Maxwell, her father, directly worked for Mossad. Epstein himself, 100%. As Charlie was even correlating before they murdered him, that Epstein was a Mossad agent working for Israel. This is arbitrary. It's not a biblical Israel, folks. Sorry. The biblical Israel isn't into child sex trafficking. Unbelievable. Well, it's because they don't work for us. They work for Epstein's employers. Here's our Congress in a foreign nation, under a foreign nation's flag. Why? 250 of our representatives. What is going on here? Unbelievable. This man connects it well too. Let's hear him.
The fact of the matter is that every congressman that signs the AIPAC pledge to place Israel first is a traitor. They are in violation of their oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, domestic and foreign. The problem is the manner in which the Zionist state uses bribery, blackmail, and media manipulation to lie, cheat, and steal across every policy issue. We are giving the Zionists today $30,000 for every man, woman, and child in Israel, which they then turn around and use to genocide the Palestinians. Anti-Zionism is every American's duty. The second point that I would make is that the Zionists themselves are anti-Semitic. The Zionist state of Israel and the Zionists in Switzerland who refused to ransom the Jews from Germany when the price was $3 million for the safe, secure exit of all Jews in Germany. What we Americans need to understand is that the Zionist Israel leadership thinks that all of us are shiksas.
Well said. Wow. Could this be why Donald Trump constantly, pardon the language, but shits on Thomas Massie? Trump clearly was not happy, another fact, with Charlie Kirk when he lobbied Trump against the war in Iran on behalf of Israel. Trump supposedly barked back at him over Iran. There are clearly more powerful entities at play here. Yeah, check this out. Mind you, what was it, just days after Thomas Massie had this interaction on Tucker's podcast, his wife got murdered.
Buddy but me has an AIPAC person.
What's that mean, an AIPAC person?
It's like your babysitter, your AIPAC babysitter, who is always talking to you for AIPAC. They're probably a constituent in your district, but they are firmly embedded in AIPAC. And
every member has something like this?
That's how it works on the Republican side.
Both
and
sides.
When they come to DC, you go have lunch with them, and they've got your cell number, and you have conversations with them.
That's absolutely crazy.
I've had 4 members of Congress say, I'll talk to my AIPAC person, and it's literally what we call them, my AIPAC guy. I'll talk to my AIPAC guy and see if I can get him to dial those ads back.
Why have I never heard this before?
Why would they want to tell their constituents that they've basically got a buddy system with somebody who's representing a foreign country? It doesn't benefit the congressman for people to know that, so they're not going to tell you that.
Much more to come. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to really rip the lid off, fire hose, connect some more dots. Before we do, look at other individuals and their warnings dating back to 1987. And this does highlight how this administration is serving the very same slave masters as the last. 100%. I believe the ruling elite intentionally uses the Jew as an scapegoat to twisting scripture to gaining your support and worse. Yes, evil has found ways to use your Bible against you. Why wouldn't it? It's evil. It's the devil. The devil got 1/3 of the angels to fall in the glory as they were in the presence of God. How do we think as mortals we're not going to fall prey to his tactics? That's a fire hose of humility right there. 100%. Can I claim to know it all? No. But this has been incredibly liberating and freeing, and it just strengthens the relation in the most pure sense, not through a pastor, not through an organized religion, which a majority of them seem to be subverted to one degree or another, whether it's through the government and the 501c3 or whether it's through the devil himself. That's why we're not to put a pastor, a church between the direct relation we can have with our loving Creator and Jesus Christ directly.
Hello, I'm Ted Pike, and this is my wife, Alyn. Today, a foreign government, Israel, operates the most powerful lobby in Congress. This is AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. Through control of Congress, Israel demands and gets nearly $5 billion annually.
Wow.
No elected official dares criticize Israel for fear the Jewish lobby will accuse him of anti-Semitism, the kiss of death for any politician. The president also knows what Israel wants, Israel gets. To act otherwise is political suicide. The mass media, founded and controlled primarily by Jews, manipulates the spigot of information out of which heartland America drinks. The message of this contaminated source is, if you criticize Israel, you are anti-Semitic. Be safe. Keep your head down, or you are fair game for being knocked off by the Zionist shooting gallery.
Wow.
As a result, our president and elected officials are slaves to political correctness when it comes to Jews and Israel. They cannot seriously criticize Israel, especially as the source of Mideast strife and terrorism. They cannot suggest an end of aid to Israel. They cannot even protest Zionist control of Congress.
Folks, we are not waking up fast enough. 1987, and we've only seen those strongholds take off, get stronger, have more influence, build out more. How is AIPAC not registered? 1987. We are too slow as a people to be the checks and balance for this country and ensure our constitutional rights, our God-given rights, even in the most basic fundamental levels. And we're allowing all of this to just suppress us further and further. Once again, yeah, Stu will just sharply attack the Jew because the Jew is the false label that Jesus once again warned us about, the evil's going to be running under in the latter days, 100%. But to step back, it's the damn cabal. It's the banking cabal. It's the ones who stood up a fake freaking business with a fake printing press and a fake currency that is indebting nations, lending it to you with interest. Unbelievable. Talk about our oppressors. They're just using that label once again as a shield that you can't talk about it. Charlie started asking the questions. It was not some rogue loon that saw his demise. I am convicted on that. Can we definitively know the specifics? I believe we won't ever. But then again, that should light the fire for us not to accept such an untrustworthy existence. I wish I could articulate it. I wish I had the words and the intellect more so the gifts that Charlie had, more of us must grow more bold and utilize our freedom of expression while we still got it. That window is closing more and more tightly every day that goes by.
Are you familiar with the Smith-Mont Act?
Is that the 2011, 2012 thing where Obama allowed people to use propaganda against United States citizens?
The media.
Yeah, that was what was done then under Obama was the effective repeal of it. It was called the Smith-Mont modernization.
Allowing the media to lie to we the masses, and I have since been humbled when I took the stance, why don't we reenact as President Trump? Shine, if you aren't just an actor, and in fact you hold dear that relation and a true friendship with Charlie, why wouldn't you reinstate this under the Charlie Kirk Act, bringing this back, holding these media accountable on the lies, right? When they're speculating, being like, hey, this is just speculation. This is our view on things. This isn't the facts. But I got humbled by some of our military chats I'm plugged into by an amazing gentleman. Shout out to Billy. He's like, James, no, we can't. At this point, that will be used against we the people. Also a deeper level of infringing on our speech. And I was just like, you know what? You're right. You're right. As much as I'd like to. Yeah, we can't. It's sad to say. So that ups the weight on our shoulders. Why are we giving these institutions, these propagandist outlets? We got to wake up all our loved ones to stop supporting it. You got a gym that's just filling full, like LA Fitness was, by the way. It's when I canceled my membership. When I was like, why do you have Fox News, CNN, all these things on? Like, is this what your customers are asking for at a fitness center? And they're like, well, and they surprised me. I thought I was going to have to dig for information, but they surprised me and stated, no, this comes from corporate. We're to put up all the propagandist outlets and a gym facility. Okay, well, LA Fitness, you've lost, because undoubtedly you're taking money from the individuals that, once again, under this 3-letter word, when you look at who's controlling all the media in this country, this group, this label, because that's the shield. You can't, anti-Semitism, you can't touch it, you can't expose it, you can't talk about it. It's the banking cabal is using that label egregiously. That's why I'd state that even if we address that Israel, label Jew, anti-Semitic problem, it doesn't matter. We're really not exposing the true synagogue of Satan behind it all. There's layers, and it's tricksy. Deception is a very tough thing. Well, to highlight regarding this administration on some things, guys, you ask yourself this question. Do you still think this administration is here to clean house or drain the swamp? Drain the swamp, remember? Those are the words that rung so near and dear to so many of our hearts that actually got us to shift. Wow, this character, this billionaire that sought very young women and had questionable ethics and morals, didn't matter. Hey, he seems like an outsider. No, he's a freaking actor. Look at this. Time to look in the mirror, good and hard. Manipulation and the psyop, the psychological warfare, runs really deep in some of us to where we can't really look at what's in fact taking place before us. The number of arrests regarding this Russia collusion hoax, 0. January 6, 0. Mar-a-Lago raid, 0. Biden, 0. 2020 election, 0. Epstein pedophile arrests, 0. COVID, 0. Benghazi, 0. Doge findings, 0. Ukraine impeachment hoax, 0. Tells us everything. After the bold, blatant statements by Trump, you still stuck on Epstein as though it is old news? He promised us day one. He drug it out. He did fake releases, all this stuff, just trying to appease we the people, trying to get this narrative to go away. And then finally was like, it's a hoax. There's nothing. It's a nothing burger. And do we have so much of his administration even stating that no, Trump in fact was a undercover Epstein, like FBI agent? Well, wait, and he just recently stated this, by the way. So it's like, wait, it can't be a hoax and that be true. So which is it? I don't know about you, but I've gone over enough of the information regarding Epstein, Mossad, Bill Gates, just how it implicates so many of the public and non-public figures, that this has been a pedophile blackmail ring. And you QAnoners, it touched on a lot that their sin will be their downfall. If this man in this administration is literally trying to boldly chalk it up as though there's a nothing burger, and it's literally the day after he's oh really, you're stuck on that? Dude, you just said yesterday that, oh, there's nothing to see here. And that response in and of itself tells me everything. The fact that he even doubles down is like, if you got questions regarding this matter, I no longer even want your support, tells me everything. And as I've made my assessment, and you can make your own, the only reason that figure is willing to die on this hill is a liar to us all, spitting in all our faces, is because he himself is implicated. And for so many that are like, well, if that's the case, the Dems would have released everything. It's like, okay, I'm going to try to humor that question because we're taught in schools, whatever, there's no dumb questions. But literally that in and of itself is one of the dumbest questions I've ever heard, because that's falling prey to the illusion of choice, as though this left versus right isn't being used against us. First of all, that blackmail operation has dirt on them both. So they can't start releasing that on one another just because that fact in and of itself. Secondly, when you really connect the dots deep enough, it proves nothing other than there's a bigger structure than our freaking government, our presidential seat. And they're playing both sides like freaking puppets. So they would only release to one end or the other if it was beneficial to them. But they can't expose the string pulling. And this sin would be their downfall, undoubtedly. Because pedophilia for the majority of Christians, I believe, projected or genuine in this country, is that red line in the sand. Like they cannot cross. We would pursue that. We cannot let this Epstein die. We gotta have the truth exposed behind the pedophilia rings. Fact of the matter is, I believe it's only getting emboldened. It's getting worse. If the Epstein isn't enough for some reason, and it hasn't sent you down the paths to seek, and when you go back, it's interesting to the common knowledge regarding Donald Trump, his circles, who he is, and how we're willing to sweep so much under the rug. Not just the vulgar things he said, literally the questionable testimonies of individuals. The testimonials aren't even questionable necessarily in and of themselves, but what they're exposing regarding Trump. The fact Trump has made statements that Epstein has stolen his girls from the Mar-a-Lago. Trump was involved in all these models, and just we were willing to sweep that under the rug because I myself fell prey to these formulated words that man, is he? And it seemed in his first administration, it was more than words. But now it's inexcusable with the blind allegiances. You can see how this administration is being utilized to further an agenda, and this man than no other would be we as a people would allow. I believe so much of this has been staged. We have been played to our detriment, but we got an opportunity. Collectively as a people, we hold all the dang cards, all of them. If we could just see our similarities in one another and unite, see past all the smoke and mirrors, I believe this could advance the warfare in such a way I also believe we're not prepared for, because after all, this elite class has all what? Very elaborate, built out underground bunkers. What does that tell us? What lengths are they willing to go to? All the tech gurus, all the bankers, even the front man, every major estate Bill Gates has, it's like the surface level $100 million complex we could view is literally not even the half of it, because there's even, in some of the situations, more elaborate underground. Whether it's an EMP, plug to EMP Shield, go get yours right now. Links below. You get $50 off every single one. There's preparations that are important. It's better to have and not need than need and not have. By the way, that was a kind of embedded phrase, and I meant to even plug on this, and we're going to finish up on this final note regarding Trump. And this, if the Epstein's not enough and you didn't, and you just couldn't go there, this is so blatant, this is so black and white, this is so in your face, that if this doesn't open your eyes, I don't know what will. And sadly, when we don't see the depths of evil's handiwork, we're not able to combat that. And it's going to lead us to a rougher tomorrow. That's just a guarantee. That's a given. After all, God gave us the example in the Bible is to clearing the slate on behalf of agency, knocking out sin multiple times. I believe the only reason he was willing and able to give us the promise that he would never do it again, because he gave us the information on the lengths he was willing to go to. And we're not, as Christians, grasping that lesson deep enough. Our subverted churches are teaching us more, and that this is what it is. We could do it with the love in our heart like Jesus. We could collectively bankrupt this cabal without firing a shot. Through unification, not supporting BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, everything they own. The majority of the wealth used to lie in the middle class of this country since its founding. But during the recent scam pandemic was the largest distribution of wealth we have ever freaking seen in the history of this world. And it now lies in the 1%. 1%. And we can't even fully wrap our minds around this. And this is why biological warfare is ramping up as a greater threat. Technological warfare, AI, controls, the mark of the beast, the whole shebang. But we're negating the information God gave us. And that's why I believe so many of our churches are subverted, doing the teachings of turning the other cheek. But there's a way of doing that in a beautiful, loving way, but fulfilling the work of God, clearing the slate multiple times to where we still have our agency. We still have our freedoms. You could test it. You could start posting Revelation 2 verse 9 on some of these platforms and find that they will suppress the very word of God through Jesus. There was a couple other points, but that was quite the rant. Let's just hear this. Hear this from Trump.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
We will have Gaza.
There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is
Take it under one
the U.S.
authority.
authority.
Mr. President,
How do you know that the Palestinians don't want to leave their land?
How do you
Some people say
answer
this
that
is
question?
ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land. They stay
We're moving
there.
them to a beautiful location.
So he doesn't answer the question. We're moving them to a beautiful question as though he has their blessing. Guys, what this particular post, August 17th, okay? Verified. Guys, nice work on moving the people. Nice work, Trump, on moving the people, because this happened just the other day. Just the other day. My God, over 50 airstrikes hit Gaza today. What is happening in Gaza City has passed the stage of extermination. The IDF dropped tons of its bombs on 3 schools, housing, displacing people west of the city. We're supplying those arms. We're supplying the funding. Hundreds of thousands of tons in bombs, folks. There is blood on our hands. This is moving the people, right? We're going to have Gaza through humane means. This is evil. I don't feel like crying today, but we could play mothers being sniped, fathers, children, the most inhumane war crimes we've ever seen, that have ever even been recorded, that is taking place, that we are supporting. We're supplying the means to this Israel that's happening in none other than Gaza. And what they've actively done war crimes to so many, 7 different countries neighboring them at this point. If we actually sat and observed the information of the international courts that had representatives of Israel, Gaza, all these other countries, wouldn't we come to the similar conclusion in listening to those discussions that they came to, that Israel is to cease and stop committing, that in fact their conclusion was Israel was committing war crimes against these people? They even went to as far as issuing an arrest warrant for Netanyahu, which our administration threatened the world. Anyone that acts out on that will have held to pay to answer to the USA. Tells us so much. After all, Trump received over $230 million. Direct connections to AIPAC, the Israeli lobby. But to Trump's statement here, how do you continually excuse the support of the first live stream genocide in history? I cannot believe the blinders folks have on. If covering the freaking pedophiles wasn't enough for anyone to even do the deep dive, look into this. We're going to have Gaza. We're not going to buy Gaza. We're going to move the people. Literally, after that statement, look what continues to happen. No one's being moved and saved. They're being obliterated. And we're supplying it. It's being taken. It's being stolen. And it's going to be riddled with the bones of murdered, innocent men, women, and children. When you look into the statistics of that country, millions of people, it was like 74% of its populace was under 25 or something. And a huge portion were even minors, children. A vast majority of that populace. It's not all under Hamas. And one hand, Trump's touting himself as the hero that he got all the hostages released, but then in the other hand, he's threatening release them all to this day. It's a circus. How are we falling for the show? Where is our country's humanity? Where are this country's Christians? we'll play this man's expert opinion. Alan, U.S. Special Forces view on what's taking place.
I know war. What's going on in Palestine right now is not a war. My name is Alan Sparrow. I was with 3rd Special Forces Group. I was a sniper, assaulter, and a breacher. I know war. What's going on in Palestine right now is not a war. It's the genocide, it's the ethnic cleansing of a specific people to take their land. This is wrong. And there's nothing more American than speaking out against what's wrong.
Agreed.
The U.S. taxpayer is paying for this, which makes it even more frustrating. I'm paying for this. I am seeing what's happening to this. I am an American. I'm a patriot. This needs to stop.
Amen, brother. Thank you. Folks, there's so many angles to this that just stinks. It reeks to high heaven. I don't understand as to how we're still turning a blind eye to this information, using those effective weaponized words, racist, anti-Semitic, to keep us from even questioning and having the open dialogue as Charlie talked about, was willing to die for and actually paid with his life. Are we going to allow this corrupt administration to spit on his grave and his legacy with more oppressive measures under the label of hate speech? Charlie, we could go back through the examples where Charlie was even granting grace for the individuals that were actively throwing death threats his way, stating that is their right. Obviously, at the point they act out on it and excite to a certain extent, you could therefore be breaking laws of this country and be held accountable. But even then, innocent until proven guilty. And if these people under those pressures change their ways, apologize, you know what? That was dark. That's not me. We shouldn't be actively calling for the firings, all this stuff. Yes, it would be nice to see a society that doesn't cheer on all this stuff, but there's a way of doing it without putting it in the corrupt individual's hands. Everything we rely clearly throughout history, we don't need to walk through it, that we give stewardship to our government when they mess it up. Every aspect, everything. Lastly, folks, it's so crucial because I love you all so much, and I could be getting some of this wrong, 100%. Sure I am to a degree or whatnot, but that's not taken away from the distrust and what we must do as a people to secure a more trustworthy system futuristically as a collective. But I do fear the level of infringement on our speech being pinnacle. There's a reason why our founding fathers that left oppressive lands put that as our number one constitutional right. It's being trampled upon. Elon, whose side are you on? Once again, good or evils? Because I'm getting impressed. So many others. But even more importantly, I believe than our freedom of speech is our health, as I've experienced with Lyme disease. The biological warfare that dates back to the freaking 70s came out of no other than Plum Island off the coast of Lyme, Connecticut, a bioweapons lab. It was a bioweapon specialist, Willie, forget it, whatever, Big Dorfrey, whatever, I can't pronounce that, my memory, Lyme brain. But it was a bioweapon specialist that isolated it in the wild. Like get out of here. but I've experienced firsthand the importance of maintaining a level of health to even be able to still effectively use our freedoms of speech. And if we cannot maintain that, I believe we are doomed. We are set on a course in this life that we would soon realize at one point or another that, shoot, it was worth dying for. It was worth standing. So let's do what we can. There's a simple call to action right here. And one of the methods they're utilizing to dumbing us down and poisoning us to where we are more controllable and we can't take that stance anymore. And it's right here in this last link. It's also in the description below, but it's zeroengineering.com. They're putting nanoparticles into the skies, folks. It's having neurological impacts. It's the inflammation aspects on a cellular level throughout our whole body. There are experts that go through all the science behind it, but it is one of the reasons we're seeing a sheer deterioration of our quality of life across the board, not just this nation, but all over the world. And we lack more ability to function. It's going to impact our income. It's going to impact like just everything. Our ability to put a stop to this. This is a very simple call to action. You could come in here. You could click any of the states. I mean, if you just click USA, it'll give you the whole list. Arizona. I believe more importantly than an individually reaching out, what this webpage is doing is creating a full accounting as to how many people are reaching out. But it has the full documents rolled out. Whether you believe they're spraying your skies or not is irrelevant. Why would you not take the precautionary measures to ensure the checks and balances that would abolish this from happening in the first place? And if you actually watch any of the things we've covered before, it is definitive. It's not conspiratorial. It's not tinfoil hat. It's not a freaking joke. Dare I say, the fact you don't view it as a threat proves how effective it has become. This is why I also believe the division tactics have been so effective, because we're already dealing with a level of inflammation in our bodies. We can't consider setting down everything and doing the proper research. So it's effective. These colorful things that they're pedestaling just gets us reactive to our detriment and to Charlie Kirk's memory. We got to see past all this, folks. I pray we do just that. I love you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I don't know what the future holds for me. What path? This is a hill I'm willing to die on 110%. I just don't know if I have the gifts of gab and the resources and the connections with the levels of suppression to really have my voice magnified, or any of y'all's that want to come on this platform and expose some truth. If I can embolden one individual that has those gifts, fan-freaking-tastic. I'd happily share the rough road it's been and what I've learned along the way. Fact is, more of us must take a stand now, but in a uniting way, not in a falling prey to the devil's tactics, being all divisive. Be brutally honest. I'm committed to the spiritual warfare. Help me. I'm seeking your input, especially elders. You could be I could be your elder. I'd love your input. Reach out to me on muzzlechat@gmail.com. Drop comments. Please like, share, subscribe. If you know donors, if you do believe I'm on a good path and you feel like, well, if we ease some of the burden for a muzzle chat, and we get a tech guru to make the shorts, to take care of a lot of behind the scenes stuff so I could really focus on the messaging, maybe that's what we're lacking. a level of unification and support in that regard, a level of the funding. They really have us in that vice, don't they? This fake currency we covet so much. Makes me sick. We should get back to bartering. Just totally skip out on all the interest, all the thievery. For freak's sakes, when Jesus gave us the example of righteous anger, it wasn't just righteous anger over the desecration of a house of God. If it was only that, he would have made it only about that. But he additionally stated, ye den of thieves. He was addressing the oppressors, the money changers, the interests. That we must see that. Whether we right the ship and ease the burden for future generations is irrelevant. That in and of itself is fulfilling the purpose of this existence and unplugging from the rat race. But I digress. Thank you so much for all you do. Appreciate your input, your advice. Help us get a donor that will not, because I won't accept any money from any level of muzzle. We're unmuzzled and we're going to keep it that way no matter what. But we greatly need more blessing and opportunity. Appreciate you for hearing me out this day. God bless you. God bless this country. Until next time.